Thrustmaster's TS-XW wheelbase was first released back in November of 2017 with the release of the Thrustmaster and Sparko lineup. More recently, this wheelbase is now released as a standalone, but nearly 4 years later, is it still worth your money? Let's find out. Starting off at around $400 for the wheelbase itself, no wheel, no pedals, just the wheelbase, it's definitely not aimed at the beginner market, and it's fair to say that this is intended for those who want a significant upgrade over their beginner gear, but don't want to sell a kidney for other higher end offerings in the market. So while I go along this review, the price and value for money will be a heavy factor in my final recommendation. And before I say anything, I should mention that I did receive this product free of charge from Thrustmaster. However, I received it for a completely unrelated reason, and this review is not paid for nor influenced by them in any way. Just thought I'd mention that. Finally, for the simplicity of this review, I'll split the video up into 3 main parts: the positives, the negatives, and my final thoughts and recommendations. If you just want to jump around the video, timestamps will be in the video description. Alright, let's start with the positives. Taking a look at this from the design perspective, it's definitely a great looking wheelbase. It has a brushless red plate which glistens under light and looks pretty cool. Furthermore, the TS-XW has some additional red accents throughout, which says a lot about its attention to detail and looks pretty cool as well. Its body is composed mainly of tough plastic, and although it is plastic, it doesn't feel or look cheap like, say, the Logitech wheelbases do. Overall, an extremely solid and rigid build. Another note regarding its design, the power supply included with the TS-XW is unlike any I've ever seen. Take a look. This wheelbase also works as a hub for all other compatible Thrustmaster gear, so your Thrustmaster pedals, shifters, or anything of that sort plugs in directly here, which is very practical. The wheelbase also features a cooling mechanism that does a great job at keeping temperatures low and barely making any noise while doing so. From the 3 or so months that I've used this, I have barely even heard the cooling system. Underneath the wheel, there are of course mounting holes which connect to nearly any cockpit out in the market. If you're using this on a desk, which I don't recommend due to the weight of this wheelbase, the TS-XW comes with a clamping mechanism, which I've never really used, so I can't comment on it. As this is a review, I should go ahead and mention that the TS-XW works on Xbox and PC, but not PS4. And of course, we can't talk about the positives without mentioning the actual performance of the wheelbase. From the time I've used this wheel, I have nothing but good things to say regarding my experience with it. The TS-XW provides precise and quick responses, and more force feedback than I'll probably ever need. With an adjustable angle rotation from 270 all the way up to 1080 degrees, this wheelbase will suit all playing styles, whether you're playing some Formula 1 game or some truck simulator. Moreover, this wheelbase is belt driven. As a result, there is higher precision, higher responses, and very importantly, lower noise coming from it. Regarding the noise, it's extremely impressive. Upgrading from my G29, which sounded like a few pans falling from the stairs, the TS-XW is surprisingly quiet. And what better way for me to describe this than for you to actually hear it? Take a listen. When it arrived, the wheel came nicely packaged and arrived without a scratch. If you're interested, I've linked a video of its unboxing in the video description. Finally, to top off the positives, the wheelbase features Thrustmaster's quick release system, which makes it relatively straightforward to swap out wheels. As a result, you can switch from, say, a rally wheel to a GT style wheel, or any such configuration with relative ease. Now moving on to the negatives, let me just start off by saying that in my opinion, maybe other than its price, there's nothing I would consider a deal breaker. There are just a few things that I've found a little annoying throughout the last few months. One of them is the screw needed for the quick release. While the mechanism to put in and switch out the wheels is definitely straightforward and quick, Thrustmaster requires you to also screw in the wheel when it's attached. So pretty much, you put in the wheel and successfully use the quick release mechanism to lock it in place, but you still need to put in an additional small screw. Here's my theory. Thrustmaster designed their quick release mechanism, but once everything was set and ready to go, they realized that under significant forces, the wheel becomes loose, and as a result, they included a little screw as an afterthought. So it's not really a quick release mechanism, as the process of unscrewing, removing, putting back in, and screwing again still takes at least about a minute once you get the hang of it. Technically, it's possible to use the wheelbase without attaching the screw, but after a few minutes you will definitely notice the wheel loosening. My current cockpit is the Next Level Racing GT Trak, and when this wheelbase was properly attached and I went to connect it, I struggled plugging in its power cable and really had to force it in for it to work. Due to the design of the included cable, it hit the plate holding the wheelbase, and although it worked after a little persuasion, I wish I didn't have to bend the cable like this. Finally, the TS-XW requires you to download its drivers and software, which is common for nearly any wheel. Within its software, you can tone up or down the force feedback and other things. However, I don't know why, the software doesn't allow you to adjust the force on the fly. Instead, every time you're in a game and adjust the setting, you have to restart the game for the change to be recognized. I will give Thrustmaster the benefit of the doubt and suppose this might just be a problem with the game and not the wheelbase. Finally, to top off the negatives, although I don't know its exact weight, this is still a heavy piece of gear. This may or may not be seen as a negative, but keep this in mind if you have a delicate desk or a DIY cockpit. For those with cockpits that hold up the wheel with a single tube, I used this wheelbase with my open wheeler cockpit for a few months and I never had a problem with it, so you will likely not have a problem with it either. Overall, the TS-XW wheelbase, which debuted in 2017, is surpassing the test of time. The TS-XW provides precise and fast responses, more force feedback than I'll ever need, and stays surprisingly silent while doing so. With its impressive, and coming from previously using the G29, truly game-changing performance, the Thrustmaster TS-XW wheelbase remains a solid, reliable, and good-looking mid-range wheelbase for users looking to become truly competitive and bring the immersion to the next level. Coming in at $400 for the wheelbase alone, it's definitely not aimed at entry-level users, and it surely doesn't feel like so, although I do wish they would address the little annoyance regarding the quick release. I hope you all enjoyed this review of the Thrustmaster TS-XW wheelbase. If you did, or if this video brought any value to you, a like would be appreciated, and if you didn't, dislike it and let me know how you can improve in the future. If you're interested in purchasing this wheelbase, a link can also be found at the top of the video description. With all that being said, thank you all for watching, stay safe, and have a fantastic rest of your day.